Chapter 91. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the green field, sometimes accidents often come before surprises. At least, this is what the Madrid derby is like for Zidane at this time, when Atletico Madrid just took the lead because of Griezmann's goal. Soon, an unexpected thing happened on the Real Madrid side, the 28th minute of the game. Less than 10 minutes have passed since the goal just now. At this time, Zidane has not figured out how to deal with Atletico Madrid's next fast defensive counterattack tactics. As a result, bad news appeared again. When Real Madrid's attack entered the second half of Atletico Madrid, Siqueira and Godin teamed up to grab the ball from Bale's feet. In the previous attack, Ronaldo had already run out of the gap and raised his hand to signal for the ball. As a result, Bale ignored Ronaldo and chose to go it alone, but the effect was not good, at least in the small end. Bale seemed more rough than Ronaldo, the Monkey King, who didn't speed up, facing the two tough guys Siqueira and Godin. In the end, the ball was intercepted as expected. Seeing this scene, Ronaldo, who had been ambushing in the penalty area, also yelled in frustration, and Bale just spread his hands, indicating that he didn't notice Ronaldo's position. But, when Real Madrid's midfielders were still dissatisfied with each other, Atletico's counterattack came so suddenly. Godin, who had just intercepted the ball, he immediately passed the ball to Thiago not far ahead, but, in the hurried kick, the force of the pass seemed a little too strong. As a result, Thiago started to speed up and catch up without hesitation. At the same time, Real Madrid's lagging midfielder Alonso also ran towards the ball. In the end, the two caught up with the ball almost at the same time. Bang! Both of them kicked the ball firmly with their right feet. The ball did not move, and because of this collision, both of them fell to the ground. At this time, Gavi, the captain of Atletico Madrid, came to the scene not far away. After taking the ball from the two people, he continued to rush towards Real Madrid's half with the ball. See here, the referee indicated that the attack was favorable and did not stop the game, and Gavi, Koke, Griezmann and Mandzukic, the four of them were like four arrows from a string, rushing towards the belly of Real Madrid. Finally, after receiving the pass from Griezmann, when facing Casillas, Mandzukic successfully sent the ball into the goal of Real Madrid, 2-0. When the ball was scored, the entire Calderón Stadium did not cheer this time, because whether it was Atletico fans or Real Madrid fans, looking at Thiago and Alonso who were still lying on the ground, what all the fans were more concerned about at this time was whether the two were injured in the foot-to-foot collision just now. When the team doctors of both sides received the signal from the referee to enter the field, the team doctors of both teams who had been prepared for a long time rushed to the scene of the accident as soon as possible. After the team doctors' treatment, the two finally stood up reluctantly. However, they still need to undergo further treatment. The good news is that the two were not injured. It was just that the instep was numb because of the foot-to-foot collision, and there was no way to exert force at this time. The team doctor adjusted it and soon they could get back into the game. The bad news is, in the following time, both teams will face the situation of one less person. Whichever side recovers faster will be able to appear on the field first than the other side. The gap between one more person and one less person, at that time, it is very likely to be a huge crisis and opportunity. Soon the game started again. At this time, both sides played with 10 players. However, at this time, Atletico fans were quite relaxed, because at this time, the score on the field had reached 2-0, Atletico won 2 goals over Real Madrid. So, when Real Madrid kicked off again, Atletico played more aggressively, while adhering to the defensive counterattack tactics. As long as Real Madrid brought the ball to Atletico's half, Atletico started pressing it the first time, changed the previous high position pressing to half-court pressing. For a while, Real Madrid mainly brought the ball to Atletico's half. They would lose the ball soon. The attack had almost no power. Sideline, Zidane watched this scene. At this time, he couldn't sit still. After all, it was his second game as the team leader. Now it's not just the score that's behind, even the scene is quite ugly. Now it's obvious, Real Madrid's midfield has been almost paralyzed by Atletico's defense. Without the support of the midfield, the front court only has the BBC combination, but there are no good opportunities. Looking back at the Real Madrid bench, especially looking at Li Chu for a long time, in the end, Zidane still didn't make up his mind to replace Li Chu at this time. The fundamental reason, it's because Li Chu has been in the team for too short a time. let Li Chu play at this time. Zidane is worried that even if Li Chu is replaced, the final effect will still not be very good. After all, what is in front of him is not the usual team training match, but a serious league. The opponent is still the fiercely defensive Atletico, and Li Chu. In Zidane's eyes, he is still just an 18-year-old kid. Just when Zidane was struggling whether to replace Li Chu at this time, on the field, there was another change. When the football was once again destroyed by Godin, Thiago, who was standing on the sidelines, had already indicated that he could play, and Alonso was still receiving massage treatment from the team doctor at this time, after Di Maria threw the sideline ball. At this time, Real Madrid was already facing the disadvantage of one less player in a short period of time. Real Madrid, after the restart, because of the score behind, had to seize the time to organize the attack and launched a charge towards Atletico again, and Atletico here. Today's defensive task is also quite clear. Ronaldo faces the defense of 3 Atletico players, and Benzema's middle and Bale's left are only guarded by one person. In the case that Ronaldo has no better chance, the ball was eventually passed from the right to Bale by Modric, however. Facing Godin's defense again, Bale still couldn't get rid of it in the first time. As a result, the same scene as the last goal was played out. Siqueira and Godin, who came to assist in defense, once again worked together to intercept the ball at Bale's feet. Then Atletico's quick counterattack was launched again. Real Madrid, who was one man less in the middle, this time, when facing Atletico's defensive counterattack, it was obviously more powerless. Soon, the ball came to the vicinity of Real Madrid's penalty area. When Gabi's cross from the left came out, Mandzukic in the middle and Griezmann at the back point were already in position. Finally, Mandzukic deliberately missed, after attracting Casillas' attention. The ball was easily scored by Griezmann into the empty goal. 3:0. The first half was only 35 minutes in. Real Madrid was 3 goals behind Atletico Madrid away from home. On the sidelines, Zidane couldn't help it at this time. Substitution. Chapter 92. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Griezmann scored another goal, Zidane had already understood, himself, there was no capital to hesitate any longer. So, when the Atletico Madrid players began to cheer wildly, Zidane walked towards the bench. Li. The next game depends on you. Came to Li Chu. Zidane signaled Li Chu to start warming up. At the same time, he was also thinking about what kind of task he should give Li Chu after he came on the court. Finally, when Li Chu came back from warming up, Zidane hugged Li Chu's neck. Boy! After you come on the court, you don't have to worry about defense. You have only one task, which is to pass the ball to the striker's feet. Just like what you usually do in training games. At this point, Zidane also cursed viciously. Go on the field. Start your performance. Damn, let Simeone see what our Real Madrid's offense should be like. Finally, Zidane did not have any special tactical instructions for Li Chu, because Zidane had thought very clearly just now, as long as Li Chu can play at the level of the usual training games, it will be fine, because the biggest problem of Real Madrid now is that the football cannot be delivered to the feet of the striker. Very quickly, the fourth referee on the sidelines raised a sign to signal a no. 8. Li Chu on the field. Number 11 Bale, off the field. Waiting on the sidelines with Li Chu, is Alonso, who has just adjusted. After you go on the field, you must concentrate on defense. Don't let Li Chu waste his energy on defense. Did you hear it? Don't worry. Head. Looking at Bale, who was walking towards the sidelines with his head down, Zidane was also quite angry. In fact, Real Madrid did have opportunities before. When they lost the ball twice, Bale has already broken through to the danger zone on the left. As long as Bale can pass the ball, then Benzema in the middle and Ronaldo on the right will have a chance. As a result, Bale chose to go it alone. Not only was the ball intercepted, the opponent also successfully counterattacked twice. And in the stands, Real Madrid fans who had already despaired of this game, after seeing Li Chu come on the court, finally rekindled hope. Because, when Li Chu was at the Bernabeu before, but he had the experience of helping Villarreal turn the tables by himself, so, at this time, Real Madrid fans placed all their hopes on this young man who had just come on the court. Completely forgot, at this time, it was Li Chu's first game for Real Madrid. In the 37th minute of the game, Li Chu came on the court. And Li Chu's appearance, naturally, it caused cheers from countless fans. Among them, Atletico Madrid fans were also included. Atletico Madrid fans, most of them were female fans, because of Li Chu's handsome appearance and perfect figure. Naturally, countless Atletico Madrid fans drooled with love, just like Beckham back then. Li Chu now, basically, he is about to become the dream lover of all the girls in Spain. When Li Chu came on the court, Real Madrid's tactics also began to adjust accordingly. Alonso, with Zidane's request, quickly conveyed to all the midfielders and backfielders the tactical arrangements to protect the empty space behind Li Chu after the attack. At the same time, because of Bale's departure, Di Maria replaced Bale's position, came to the left. However, Di Maria is still used more as a left winger. In this way, Real Madrid's lineup changed from the previous 433 to something more like 442. Sidelines. When Simeone saw Li Chu on the court, his face became a little more serious. Although this was Li Chu's first time playing for Real Madrid, he had been participating in the league since the beginning of the season. As for Li Chu, the final conclusion given by Atletico's entire tactical analysis team was that it was difficult to target him. The reason was very simple. First of all, it was Li Chu's passing. Whether it was a long pass or a medium or short pass, the accuracy was terrifying. And the passing routes were quite varied. And if it was close defense, Li Chu's increasingly skilled passing skills made close defense a little unrealistic. Pay attention to defense. In the end, Simeone could only remind his players loudly to pay more attention. But, is Li Chu so easy to target? Very quickly, Li Chu gave the answer. When Pepe in the backcourt successfully got the Atletico Madrid side's long foot clearance, very quickly, after a few simple passes, the football came to Li Chu's feet. Under Zidane's tactical arrangement, all Real Madrid's passes during the attack will be handled by Li Chu, and Li Chu, who got the football, slowly pushed through the half-court with the football. Seeing Li Chu get the ball, and naturally, the Atletico Madrid players did not dare to neglect it. The kid in front of him, although he is young, his strength has been recognized by everyone since this season. Coke cautiously came to a distance of about 5 meters in front of Li Chu. At this time, Li Chu was only about 3 meters to the right of the center circle after getting the football. In front of him, on the right passing route where Ronaldo was, there are 2 Atletico players ready to block any passing route at any time, and next to Ronaldo, there are Siqueira and Ansaldi on defense, in front of Benzema in the middle. There is Godin, only Di Maria on the left. There is no Atletico player within 3 meters around him. Faced with such a scene, almost all players will choose Di Maria at the far end. After all, only his position is the best. What a pity, the gap between genius and mortal is so huge. After seeing Atletico's defensive position continue to dribble forward for about 5 meters, and seeing this, Coke can only choose to follow Li Chu's rhythm and slowly retreat. Result, at the moment when Coke was retreating, Li Chu raised his right leg and rubbed the ball hard. And the football under his feet, almost L-shaped, first, goes straight to the front of the right. As a result, after going around Coke and Siqueira behind him, incredibly, he turned to the left. Just like that, the ball directly penetrated the defense set by Atletico in front of Ronaldo, came to the penalty area not far in front of Ronaldo, for this perfect opportunity. After Ronaldo waited for nearly half a game, how could he give up easily? He got the ball before Ansaldi, no need to adjust at all. A powerful shot directly hit the bottom of the ball. The ball went straight to the upper left corner of Atletico's goal. 3-1. When the first half was about to end, Ronaldo helped Real Madrid score a goal. Chapter 93. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Chu's first touch was a very imaginative and penetrating pass. This pass, it eventually turned into a goal. This kind of performance, it directly slapped the faces of countless people who had predicted Li Chu's defeat before the game. For Li Chu, although most people are quite optimistic, however, there are also many people who are against it. After all, Li Chu is not a dollar. It is impossible for everyone to like him. It's just, this is Li Chu's first game for Real Madrid. The performance at the beginning of the game fully shows that Li Chu is still in a super high competitive state. With Li Chu's assist, the score on the field also came to 1-3. Real Madrid finally successfully narrowed the score gap before the end of the first half. This also gave all Real Madrid fans hope again. There is still a whole half. There is still a lot of time. Real Madrid is not without a chance. Don't give the opponent any chance. Remember. After the opponent's number 8 kid gets the ball, you must concentrate. Everyone saw his pass, right? Unexpected, but full of deadly threats. At this time, it was already half-time. When the first half ended, the score on the field was still 3-1, the home team Atletico Madrid still led Real Madrid by 2 goals. However, for Simone, who has experienced many battles, at this time, he already smelled the smell of danger. Li Chu just played for less than 10 minutes, no. To be precise, he helped Real Madrid narrow the score after he just came on the court. As for time, there is still a whole second half. Simone will never allow any accidents to happen. And now, in Simeone's eyes, Li Chu is the X that represents uncertainty. Soon. The second half of the game continued. After the adjustment during the halftime break, the two sides returned to the field to compete again. As for what arrangements the head coaches of both teams have for their teams after the halftime break, the specific changes still depend on the subsequent games. Soon, the second half of the game began. Real Madrid took the lead. After the ball was kicked out, Di Maria, Benzema and Ronaldo rushed to the back half of Atletico. At the same time, the ball passed through the Real Madrid backcourt and soon came to Li Chu's feet again. When the Atletico players saw that it was Li Chu who took the ball, instantly, the entire Atletico line began to move. First of all, it was the midfield. A group of midfielders led by Captain Gabi surrounded Li Chu directly. Gabi pressed forward from the front. Regardless of whether it was behind Li Chu or Gabi, there were other Atletico players at the same time. On the one hand, it cut off Li Chu's return route, on the other hand, it prevented Atletico from forming a second line of defense again after Li Chu broke Gabi. Li Chu did not expect that he could be taken care of by Atletico in this way. Who were the players who were taken care of by Atletico in this way before? Messi of Barcelona, Ronaldo of Real Madrid, and now, Li Chu has become the third person to receive special care from Atletico. Facing such a tight regional defense of Atletico, Li Chu did not know whether he should be honored or cursed. However, time will not give Li Chu too much time to think. Very quickly, Gabi stepped forward to grab the ball. Fortunately, Li Chu's ball protection and dribbling skills have all reached a very high level. Facing Gabi's pressing, Li Chu still responded calmly. Just a simple shoulder shake successfully deceived Gabi, let them think that Li Chu was going to break through to the right, but in fact, Li Chu pushed the ball to the left. Fried meatballs. Messi's unique skill was successfully used by Li Chu at this time. Although the speed is not as abnormal as Messi, but the effect is the same. After successfully getting rid of Gabi, just took 2 steps forward with the ball. Very quickly, Cork came in front of Li Chu. Facing Cork, Li Chu calmly began to lower his shoulders again. Come again. Seeing Li Chu's action, Cork raised his eyebrows and looked very disdainful. Result, this time, Li Chu did not choose to break through. Instead, he caught up with Gabi behind him. Before coming, he sent the ball through the gap between people. Cork didn't rush to grab the ball in the first time because of Li Chu's shoulder movement. He missed the defense formed by Gabi, and outside, Modric had been waiting on the side. After getting the ball, there was no interference from Atletico players around him, so, Modric easily rushed out to Atletico's backcourt with the ball. Seeing this scene, Gabi and Cork were a little depressed. Cunning boy. Soon, Modric brought the ball to the vicinity of Atletico's penalty area. At this time, Thiago hurried forward to defend. Facing Thiago, Modric did not choose to pass it directly to the 3 forwards this time. On the contrary, with the ball, Modric continued to rush to the left side of Atletico's penalty area. When Modric came to the baseline with the ball, a clever knock not only stopped the ball before the baseline but also made Thiago, who had no time to break, rush straight out of the baseline. Following the trend, after Modric turned around, reverse triangle pass. The ball returned to the top of the Atletico penalty area again. At this time, Li Chu just rushed over. Facing the ball, Li Chu raised his right leg high. As a result, when his right foot touched the ball, it turned into a light bucket. Oh no! I've been fooled. Moya, who had lost his balance and followed Li Chu's action to the right side of the goal, could no longer adjust again. and the ball that was poked to the right front was grabbed by Ronaldo at the first time, facing the empty goal. Ronaldo shot again, 2:3. Comfortable. This goal, including the goal in the first half, it has been a long time since Ronaldo received such a comfortable pass. For the two passes Li Chu fed him, Ronaldo felt extremely comfortable all over his body. It was just like Li Chu fed the pass to Ronaldo, facing Li Chu's kindness. How could a striker like Ronaldo miss it? At this moment, Ronaldo has begun to enjoy the feeling of being fed by Li Chu. So, Ronaldo, who was so excited that he couldn't walk, he rushed to Li Chu quickly, then, he turned around, half-crouched, and left his back to Li Chu. Seeing Ronaldo's action, Li Chu was naturally happy and jumped up at once. Then, the scene of Ronaldo carrying Li Chu on his back and celebrating with his teammates, directly murdered countless films. Chapter 94. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The second half just started, the 48th minute of the whole game. Real Madrid narrowed the score again after the start of the second half. This goal, almost all the credit should be attributed to Li Chu. First, Li Chu faced the siege of the entire Atletico midfield in the middle, and successfully sent the ball to Modric, who was not guarded not far away, and then, when he came to the outside of the Atletico penalty area, facing Modric's inverted triangle pass, Li Chu chose to pass the ball when he could shoot directly, and Li Chu's fake move. It also directly deceived the Atletico goalkeeper, the goalkeeper who had already saved the ball. When Ronaldo kicked the ball, the whole person was still in the air, therefore, Ronaldo can be said to be facing an empty goal. It is for this reason, that's why Ronaldo excitedly carried Li Chu on his back. After all, the cake Li Chu fed was so delicious. Sidelines. After seeing this goal, it is rare that Simeone did not lose his temper. On the contrary, after this goal was scored, Simeone held his head with both hands. He looked at Li Chu riding on Ronaldo's back in disbelief. Atletico's targeting of Li Chu can be said to be quite in place. However, what no one expected was that Li Chu, who seemed to be average in dribbling and ball protection during the Villarreal period, as a result, in the midfield battle just now, he showed quite sophisticated. A real fried meatball directly past Gabi's defense, and the fried meatballs that followed. It was a carefully prepared fake move by Li Chu. All his energy was focused on the fried meatballs facing Li Chu. As a result, Coke did not immediately block Li Chu's passing route. It was just such a short moment. Li Chu sent the ball out through the gap between several Atletico players. He closed his eyes and recalled the whole process of the goal just now. Simeone also secretly sighed at Li Chu's calmness just now. Otherwise, even if there is a problem in any link, then the result is that the football was snatched away by Atletico. What a pity, there is no if. Soon, the game continued. Atletico received Simeone's instructions. Continue to defend and counterattack. The tactics remain unchanged. So, after the kickoff, Atletico was passing the ball in their backcourt, slowly passing the ball, waiting for Real Madrid's formation to completely disperse. Even after their forwards pressed forward, that was the time for Atletico to counterattack. After all, Real Madrid is still the lagging side now. When Atletico took the initiative to shrink its defense, the whole game began to stalemate. After all, when Atletico recovered like a python, no team in the world dared to say that they could break through Atletico's defense. Time passed slowly under such circumstances. The audiences on both sides in the stands became the main force at this time. Whether it was Real Madrid fans or Atletico Madrid fans, at this time, they were cheering for their teams loudly. When the time came to the 78th minute of the game, at this time, the players on both sides finally began to lack physical strength, especially Atletico Madrid. After facing the attack of Real Madrid with Li Chu, Atletico Madrid players felt more tired, because of Li Chu's pass. Always find the weakest point of Atletico Madrid's defense, or Li Chu will choose a large-scale transfer ball. This makes Atletico Madrid's players in the process of defense, invisibly increase the physical consumption. When the football was destroyed by Siqueira again, Real Madrid got a throw-in near the center circle. Marcelo stepped forward to send the football, then he rushed towards Atletico Madrid's backcourt again, and Li Chu who received the football, he did not choose to pass the ball immediately. On the contrary, Li Chu slowly moved the ball towards Atletico's backcourt. Soon, Thiago came to Li Chu. Looking at the black-haired boy who made the whole team suffer, Thiago nervously kept a distance of about 2 meters from Li Chu. This distance, if Li Chu chose to break through, then Thiago would have enough time to react, but, this caution, at this time, he made another mistake. Li Chu slowly moved forward with the ball, and Thiago also slowly retreated. As a result, when Li Chu brought the football to the top of the arc in the center circle, he suddenly chose to kick. The football flew out from Thiago's right side along the grass. For Li Chu's pass, Thiago was obviously not prepared and did not react at all. The football flew straight into Atletico's penalty area. At this time, the entire Atletico defense line was still on the penalty area line, ready to create offside at any time. As a result, the entire defense line was penetrated by the pass. At the moment when Li Chu passed the ball, Ronaldo also started at the same time. The counter offside was successful. Ronaldo received the football and took the football into Atletico's small penalty area. Then, facing Moya, who was attacking, Ronaldo chose to shoot the ball into the far corner of the goal. Moya could only stretch his arms as much as possible. In the end, Moya's fingertips just touched the football. Bang! That the football hit the post and bounced out. Just when Moya breathed a sigh of relief, Di Maria rushed out from the left, kicked again, facing Di Maria's shot. This time, Moya finally had no choice but to watch the football enter the goal. 3:3. Ronaldo was upset that he missed the hat-trick, however, he still ran towards Li Chu excitedly. This ball, Li Chu still fed the cake into his mouth. It can only be said that he was too focused on the angle just now, finally missed the goal, so, Ronaldo ran to Li Chu and hugged Li Chu's head. At the same time, he shouted loudly. "Li! Sorry, the ball just now was my fault. You passed it so well." As a result, before Li Chu could reply, the other Real Madrid players had already rushed over. A group of people excitedly came to the nearby stands. They interacted passionately with the Real Madrid fans in the stands. Seeing the team's heroes coming in front of them, at this time, the Real Madrid fans naturally cheered excitedly. No one could have thought of it. It was originally a game without any suspense. As a result, Real Madrid tied the score in the second half. Especially after Li Chu came on the court, the entire midfield and front court of Real Madrid began to show more aggressiveness. For quite a long time in the second half, they put too much pressure on Atletico Madrid. As a result, Atletico Madrid could only be forced to defend and had no energy to attack. Hala, Madrid! Hala, Madrid! Chapter 95. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sidelines, Simeone kicked the marker fiercely. He had a bad temper and finally couldn't help but explode. The defensive tactics he arranged for Li Chu were already in place. Atletico's players worked hard on defense, but they had no way to deal with Li Chu, an 18-year-old boy. The originally weak Real Madrid midfield instantly became their advantage after Li Chu came on the court. Ronaldo and Di Maria began to receive the ball frequently in the front court, and the two killers with keen sense of smell would naturally not give up the opportunity. Defense! Defense! Simeone roared at the court. If the 3 o'clock lead was overtaken, then his face would be lost. In addition to the superficial anger, Simeone was very nervous. As a last resort, he could only use the defensive counterattack that he and Atletico were best at. He had been forced into a desperate situation. On the other side, Zidane was leisurely touching his bald head and looking in Simeone's direction. Li Chu really didn't let me down. Now all the pressure is on Simeone. On the field, Real Madrid players have finished celebrating, returned to their own half, and stood firm in formation. The team's top player Cristiano Ronaldo faced the players, pressed his hands down, and signaled his teammates not to get too excited. Equalizing is far from his goal. Now that Li Chu is on the field, Cristiano Ronaldo is confident that he can score another goal. In this derby, he swept away the decline and put Atletico Madrid under his feet. After signaling his teammates, Cristiano Ronaldo looked at Li Chu again, and Li Chu happened to be looking at him. The two of them met each other's eyes, and naturally understood what the other meant, as firm as ever. On the other side, Atletico Madrid's morale was very low. From 3 o'clock to 3:3, they were well prepared for Li Chu, but there was still no way. They could only watch Li Chu pass one exquisite pass after another to the striker's feet. and watched him disrupt his defense with realistic fake moves one after another. There was no way. Li Chu was concentrating on analyzing Atletico's lineup, considering where to start, and suddenly felt a beam of burning eyes from Griezmann. Although he performed well in this game, it would be meaningless if he didn't win. Beep. As the referee blew the whistle, the game continued. Griezmann immediately passed the ball back after receiving the serve and gave it to Siqueira's feet. Siqueira did not stop and passed it directly to Atletico captain Gabi. Several other Atletico players quickly moved forward. Li Chu reacted instantly. This was exactly the tactic Atletico used at the beginning. They wanted to do it again. "Watch out for Griezmann," Li Chu shouted loudly. Zidane also immediately noticed this off the court. When he wanted to remind him, he had already heard Li Chu's voice. "I couldn't help but feel relieved. Maybe it would be too late to remind myself." At this time, Alonso reacted, and he began to shrink back from pressing forward, blocking Gabi's passing route. Real Madrid's defense also shrank back in a targeted manner, not giving Atletico players a chance to penetrate. Gabi was a little annoyed, and unconsciously glanced at Li Chu again. This kid really has a genius sense of smell. Gabi looked up again and observed that there was no good chance, so he could only reluctantly kick the ball to Griezmann's feet. Khedira, who was adjusting his headband at the beginning of the game, made up for his mistake this time. He jumped high and headed the ball out. Alonso in front just received the ball, stopped and wiped it, and accurately passed the ball to Li Chu. Coke returned to the side of Li Chu, and this time he decided to go forward and steal it directly. Fierce defense is the style of Atletico Madrid. It is better to let go of your hands and feet than to be restrained by Li Chu before. Facing the fierce Coke, Li Chu did not hesitate, and directly pulled left, passing Coke lightly. Coke, who was left behind, looked like a fool. Gabi appeared in front of Li Chu again. As the captain, he was not so reckless. After trying Li Chu's fried meatballs several times, he became calmer. There were many defenders around Di Maria and Ronaldo in the distance, and even the two forwards with excellent off-ball running ability still found it difficult to find space. Li Chu passed the ball back to Modric behind him. It's not a chance now. Time passed by every minute and second, and it was slowly approaching the end. The Real Madrid fans in the stands were also a little anxious. After being aroused by Li Chu, they were no longer satisfied with the draw. They wanted to win. After more than 10 minutes of midfield possession, Atletico's defense line relaxed a little. It's not that Ronaldo didn't have a chance to run, but he just didn't receive the pass. Ronaldo couldn't help but feel confused. He knew very well that Li Chu's passing ability could definitely pass to him, but Li Chu just passed slowly in the midfield and was not in a hurry to move forward. On the sidelines, the fourth official raised a sign, and the injury time was 7 minutes. This was the last 7 minutes of the game. Ronaldo couldn't help but get anxious. Why didn't Li Chu pass the ball to him? Just thinking about it, Li Chu received Modric's pass in the middle, and did not pass it back as usual, but led it in front of him and suddenly changed speed. This sudden change made Atletico's midfielder unable to react in time. Gabi hurriedly retreated to the middle, but did not notice the gap on the left. Di Maria recovered at the right time and received Li Chu's pass. After pretending to take a step forward, he returned the ball to Li Chu, who was advancing. A beautiful two-pass one. Zidane clapped his hands excitedly. As the coach who was most familiar with Li Chu, he certainly knew what Li Chu wanted to do. Like Li Chu, he had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Gabi could only watch Li Chu dribbling the ball forward. Now the entire Atletico Madrid defense line was exposed to Li Chu. Ronaldo turned back and ran, tearing Atletico Madrid's defense like a tiger. Li Chu strode forward and observed the situation. Siqueira hesitated for a moment, and finally chose to continue to defend Ronaldo next to him, or Ronaldo next to him was more threatening. The four defenders of Atletico Madrid were caught in such a tangle, and no one went forward to press Li Chu. Compared with defending the passer, it is better to keep a close eye on the striker. Gabi and Coke desperately returned to defense, trying to get back to their positions before causing a threat. At this moment, Li Chu suddenly kicked. The ball drew a strange arc in the air. Siqueira suddenly felt a little flustered. It was not a pass. It was a powerful shot. Moya was the first person in Atletico to react, but it was too late. the unpredictable arc made it impossible for him to judge, and he could only watch the football fly into the upper left corner. The ball went in. At the last moment, Li Chu did not choose to pass the ball, but shot directly. 4:3. Moya stayed where he was, his mind dull. Before Li Chu kicked, he didn't even react that it was a shot. He had been guarding against Li Chu's strange pass, he had been guarding against Ronaldo or Benzema's header, he had been guarding against Di Maria's shot, but he never thought that Li Chu would kick and shoot himself. What's more, it was such a tricky angle. If the ball hadn't rolled slowly into the goal, Moya wouldn't have believed that this was the fact. Chapter 96. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Chu. Li Chu. You are the god of Madrid. Real Madrid is the big brother of Madrid, that the cheers of the fans are endless. What could be more surprising than seeing your home team reverse the opponent in a derby? The derby itself is more intense. Zidane's face was also full of smiles. It was worth it for him to put Li Chu on the big list under pressure. Now it has finally paid off. The players of Real Madrid celebrated wantonly until the referee blew the whistle and they returned to their own half. On the other side, Simeone was angry and roared at the court. The last 2 minutes. Attack for me. Although taking the initiative to attack is not what Atletico Madrid is good at, there are only 2 minutes left, so they have to do so. Griezmann bent his body slightly, ready to rush to the opponent's half immediately after the whistle. The players of Real Madrid also slowly calmed down and prepared to defend this last attack. As long as we hold on, we will win. Beep. The whistle blew. Captain Gabi immediately strode forward after receiving the return pass, while constantly observing the situation and looking for a good opportunity. Before he ran 2 steps, Li Chu had already pressed on, leaving him no sufficient space to pass the ball. Gabi shook his head slightly, knowing that this guy was not easy to mess with. He stopped the ball immediately, turned halfway and passed the ball to Coke in the right front. Coke took the ball and strode forward again. Griezmann was like a cunning hunter, looking for opportunities in the bushes, but how could the Real Madrid defense led by Ramos give him this opportunity? Li Chu retreated while observing everywhere, paying attention to possible gaps at any time. Suddenly, a figure with red and white stripes appeared on the right side of the penalty area. It was Gabi. As the captain of Atletico Madrid, he was not in the midfield where he should be at this time, but appeared in the backcourt of Real Madrid. This was a desperate attack. Gabi. Li Chu had no time to say more, so he could only shout out the name of the Atletico captain, but it was too late. Coke had already swung his right leg and made a precise long pass to Gabi. Gabi received the ball. Griezmann returned to the top of the penalty area, and Coke rushed directly to the penalty area. Inverted triangle. What a beautiful pass and cut cooperation. There was only 1 minute left. Gabi stopped the ball and adjusted. At this time, there was no threatening defensive player in front of him, so he had plenty of time to think. Several forwards in the Real Madrid penalty area were watched closely. The only chance was Griezmann at the top of the arc. Gabi kicked and slid towards Griezmann with a fast ground ball. With Griezmann's footwork, he could have shot directly without stopping the ball. Ramos had already found this gap, but it was too late to block it. As the ball was about to slide towards Griezmann and threaten him, a young man in white clothes and black hair seemed to appear out of thin air and intercepted the ball. It was Li Chu. As early as when Gabi received the ball, Li Chu had already discovered this gap, but he did not defend it immediately, but waited for an opportunity on the side. He was waiting for this opportunity. As a master of passing, Li Chu had already simulated Gabi's possible passing route in his mind, and what he wanted was to intercept. Li Chu took the ball, strode towards the front court of Atletico Madrid, sprinted randomly, and made a powerful long pass. The white figure running wildly in front was Ronaldo. Due to Atletico Madrid's massive attack, the backcourt was almost empty. Only Moya was left to defend. Ronaldo received Li Chu's pass, and faced the goalkeeper Moya, who had to attack, and easily scored with a lob shot. 5:3. Ronaldo completed a hat trick. Ronaldo spun his right index finger in a circle, ran forward in small steps, and then jumped high after 2 big steps, turning in the air. When he landed, he was already in a handsome pose showing off his muscles. It was Ronaldo's signature celebration. However, this time the display only lasted for more than a second, and Ronaldo turned and ran towards Li Chu. He knew that at least half of the credit for the hat-trick in this game came from Li Chu. It was him who led Real Madrid to launch a counterattack. It was his accurate long passes to find the striker again and again. It was his exquisite passing in the midfield that revitalized the midfield. This is all Li Chu's credit. Ronaldo and Li Chu hugged each other wantonly, enjoying the joy of victory. Di Maria and others also came to hug. In the end, Real Madrid won the victory with a shocking reversal of 5-3, and Atletico Madrid led by Simeone could only lose regretfully. In this game, Ronaldo completed a hat-trick, Li Chu assisted a hat-trick plus a goal, and Di Maria scored a goal. Real Madrid fans also accepted Li Chu, and praised him crazily after the game. Before the game, I looked down on Li Chu, but now it is proven that I was slapped in the face. Li Chu is definitely the biggest contributor to this game. He is the MVP. I think Li Chu can already be the starting midfielder of Real Madrid. Modric and Di Maria can take turns to play. Look at his accurate long pass. The ball is like it has eyes. If there is anything more accurate than Li Chu's long pass, I think it can only be a guided missile. After the game, Marca, as the mouthpiece of Real Madrid, reported the game as soon as possible. Li Chu's Real Madrid debut. A hat-trick of assists and a goal. As expected of a young man from Castilla. Li Chu's performance deserves praise from all of us. See Ronaldo hat-trick. Di Maria scored a goal. Everyone in Real Madrid performed very well today. From 0:3 to 5:3. Real Madrid has always been a team that gives birth to miracles. After this game, Zidane's position is finally secure. And Li Chu's starting position is basically no longer in doubt. Bernabeu, at 6:30 in the morning, Li Chu appeared on the training ground again. Although he continued to train from the second day of the game, he always seemed to be so energetic. Training. After Li Chu shouted excitedly, he started running laps. Warming up before training is necessary. Although Li Chu has the blessing of the system, he still maintains a good exercise habit. Hey! Li, don't you really feel tired? Zidane's voice came just after Li Chu finished running. Although there was no training scheduled today, he knew that there must be a black-haired boy who would appear on the court. Only training can make you stronger. Li Chu laughed and asked. Coach, why are you here too? Yesterday's performance was very good. Not only the players, but also the management were very satisfied. If nothing unexpected happens, you will be the starting player. Li Chu's face lit up. Although he knew it was a done deal, he couldn't help but get a little excited when he heard the news. This is the starting lineup of Real Madrid. The starting lineup of the world's top club. Zidane didn't wait for Li Chu to get excited and continued. How about it, are you confident of winning the Champions League? Chapter 97. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Champions League. This is almost the top honor of the club. Even a top team like Real Madrid dare not say that it has a monopoly on the Champions League. After all, the teams participating in the Champions League are the best in each league, Juventus from Serie A, Paris Saint-Germain from Ligue 1, Bayern Munich and Dortmund from the Bundesliga, and Barcelona and Atletico Madrid from La Liga. The Champions League is a battle of heroes. However, Li Chu is also determined to win the Champions League. No player does not want to get such an honor. Of course. We have been aiming for the championship from the beginning. Li Chu did not hide his ambition. As a player, if you don't take the championship as your goal, it is meaningless. Zidane smiled and nodded, which is also a point he appreciates Li Chu. It's good to have such ambitions, but there is bad news. We are in the same group with Chelsea. Chelsea? Li Chu frowned. As the top team in the Premier League, Chelsea has a very luxurious lineup. Golden Boy Torres. Anyone who knows something about football should have heard of this name. Superb shooting skills, perfect positioning. The Holy Child is the best description of him. In addition, there is the Egyptian winger Sulla, who also has excellent dribbling and exquisite passing, and can deliver one shell after another to the middle. Compared with the front, Chelsea's midfield is even better. The magic lamp. If you select the best attacking midfielder in the world, Lampard is definitely among them. As early as 2005, Lampard helped Chelsea win the club's first top league championship since 1995. In the more than 10 years at Chelsea, he helped Chelsea win 3 Champions League titles. Although he is now 35 years old, his performance on the court has not declined at all. More experience makes Lampard more comfortable on the court. Although his physical function is not as good as before, his keen insight and sophisticated grasp of timing make him feel at home in the midfield, and he has created many opportunities for Torres, avant-garde Hazard, a football genius from Belgium, on the court. He shuttles between the opponent's defense like an elf, giving countless defenders a headache. His wonderful dribbling and precise passing have made him a headache for many teams, not to mention the top goalkeeper like Cech, and the back line that is far above the average. Chelsea is undoubtedly a strong enemy. In terms of experience, they have Lampard, and in terms of vitality, they have Hazard. Their midfield is a big test for you. Zidane analyzed, although Li Chu is a genius, he is still very young after all and lacks experience in major competitions. Facing an experienced front midfielder like Lampard, it is probably difficult to take advantage, especially Chelsea's momentum this season is terrifying. Premier League giants Manchester United and Manchester City have met Chelsea in the league, but neither of them got the upper hand. They could only watch Chelsea take away 3 points. In the most recent game, Chelsea defeated Arsenal 3-0. Ozil was restricted very much in this game and was almost invisible. Giroud, the fulcrum centre forward in the frontcourt, rarely had the opportunity to touch the ball, and Arsenal's offense was almost in trouble. In contrast to Arsenal, Lampard only played for 65 minutes in this game and got 2 assists. His excellent overall view and exquisite passing were fully demonstrated in this game. Hazard scored twice, and together with Torres' goal, he defeated Arsenal. Although Arsenal is the 4th place for thousands of years, its strength should not be underestimated. Even before the Champions League draw, Chelsea had the most calls to win the championship. Li Chu nodded silently. Competition experience has always been what he lacks. Compared to a fierce defensive team like Atletico Madrid, he didn't want to face a team like Chelsea that slowly organized its offense. There's still some time left, keep up the good work. After encouraging Li Chu, Zidane turned back to the office. Although he had already secured the position of head coach, his outstanding performance was only in 1 game. The next Champions League will definitely be a test for him. If the performance is not good enough, it is not impossible to be fired immediately. Chelsea is really a tough opponent. Zidane turned on the computer and prepared to sort out the data of his opponent Chelsea. Although there is still some time, the sooner the analysis is done, the better. Just as he was preparing to collect, the media's overwhelming publicity attracted Zidane's attention. Champions League grouping completed. Death Group B Group. Real Madrid and Chelsea are in one group. Manchester City and Manchester United are in one group. It's time to test Li Chu. I wonder if he can still perform in front of Lampard. BBC team faces the Holy Child Torres. Many experts have made predictions for the game. If I have to make a champion prediction for this season's Champions League, I would choose Chelsea. They have an excellent lineup. Whether from the back court or the front court, they have no weaknesses. The team without weaknesses will be the final champion. I beg you to differ with your prediction. I think Real Madrid is the team that is more likely to win the championship. With the BBC combination, they have a sharp attack. The back line led by Ramos is like a solid wall. The originally slightly weak midfield has become an advantage after getting Li Chu. Li Chu. That kid from Yen country? It's too fast to make a conclusion based on just 1 game against Atletico Madrid. Gold will shine. Although it's just 1 game, is Atletico Madrid not good enough? Can't some things be seen in 1 game? That the experts' debate naturally spread among the fans. Except for Real Madrid fans, most fans are still skeptical about Li Chu. One game is not enough to prove myself. Although the performance is very good, time will prove everything. I never think that there will be any football genius in Yenghua, a football desert, just like beautiful tulips cannot bloom in the desert. Although his growth rate is astonishing, the Champions League is the top football stadium, and only strength can speak on the court. Zidane just shook his head when he saw these comments. He never doubted his vision. Time will prove that Li Chu is the world's top midfielder. On the other side, Li Chu is still training tirelessly on the court, earning system points. Before facing Lampard and his Chelsea, Li Chu knows that he must train harder and upgrade his points to make a splash in the Champions League. Chapter 98. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early in the morning, Ronaldo came to the stadium with headphones. Since Li Chu came, he would train with Li Chu every morning. He trained from 6:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock, and then trained with everyone. The tacit understanding between the two people increased rapidly. In official games or ordinary training games, the two people only need to look at each other to know each other's thoughts. Ronaldo can run at his own pace, and Li Chu can always send wonderful passes, but this morning, after Ronaldo came to the stadium, he suddenly found that there was no one on the stadium. Huh? Where is this kid Li? Before Li Chu came, Ronaldo had heard about Li Chu's diligence. After seeing the real person, he had a better understanding. Today is really an exception. Ronaldo touched his head and decided to practice by himself first, and then ask Li Chu after he came. In the room, Li Chu got up at more than 5 o'clock, but he didn't go out, because the system sound in his mind suddenly sounded. Ding! Congratulations on getting the Champions League points reward. In this season's Champions League, you can get 5 Champions League points for each game you win, and you can enter a lottery once you accumulate 15 points. There will be extra rewards for winning the championship. Champions League points. Li Chu was a little stunned. It seems that this thing is different from the basic points obtained from normal training. Basic points are used to upgrade your basic attributes, such as passing, long-range shooting and defense, and this time, the Champions League points are accumulated to 15 points, and you can enter a lottery once. Li Chu immediately checked the prize pool. Van Persie's diving header, Beckham's scimitar. Vieira's backcourt interception. There is even Maradona's hand of God. Li Chu couldn't help but get excited. This prize pool is too rich. From ancient times to the present, the signatures of various stars. Now Li Chu has Zidane's flying fairy and Marseille turn, as well as Kaká's long stride and so on. If the lottery draws another top star's sign, it will greatly enrich Li Chu's arsenal. Not to mention that after drawing Vieira's backcourt interception, he will also become a midfielder who can attack and receive at the same time. It's simply an enhanced version of Modric. Of course, except for Lao Ma's God's hand. After all, Li Chu doesn't want to draw this skill. In addition to the rewards of star skills, there will also be rewards such as 2,000 basic points. Even if the luck is a little worse, drawing such a reward is a great improvement for Li Chu. After carefully checking the prize pool, Li Chu came back to his senses with excitement. Now, winning the Champions League is even more inevitable. Hey! Li, why are you late today? After training alone on the court for half an hour, Ronaldo finally saw Li Chu's figure and asked immediately. Li Chu naturally wouldn't tell anyone about the system, so he just laughed it off. I studied Chelsea's midfield for a while in the room. You know, we are in the same group as them. See, Ronaldo nodded thoughtfully. Chelsea is indeed a tough guy. The two chatted for a while and then started training. It wasn't until 9 o'clock that the other Real Madrid players arrived one after another. Zidane waited for everyone to line up before speaking. It will be a game against Chelsea in a while. We all know that this is a tough opponent. Therefore, I have made a training plan for each of you to focus on improving your abilities in a certain aspect. Li Chu. Come here. Zidane called Li Chu alone, and asked the other players to follow the assistant coach and arranged different training for each of them. Zidane pulled Li Chu aside to sit down and showed the tactical board in his hand. There was already Chelsea's lineup on it, and some lines that Li Chu couldn't understand at a glance. After the coaching staff worked overtime to analyze, we think we don't need to teach you too much in offense. You can use your dribbling and sharp passes to tear open the opponent's defense. With forwards like Ronaldo, Benzema and Bale, it shouldn't be difficult to score a few goals in the game against Chelsea. But I think the biggest problem is defense. Defense has always been your weakness. Chelsea has its own style, based on defense and very sharp counterattacks. At the same time, it has the ability to conduct and organize in the frontcourt. Therefore, defense is a big problem for us. Li Chu listened to Zidane's analysis silently. He knew his problem very well in his heart, but it was really impossible to make up for it in a short time. Although there is still some time before the game against Chelsea, it is not enough to get enough points through training to upgrade. There is no way to improve your defensive ability quickly. Therefore, the coaching staff decided to train you individually, specifically training your midfield defense ability. Although it is useless to cram at the last minute, it is better to sharpen your gun before the battle, especially the defensive training for Chelsea style is still useful. Pepe, Zidane shouted and called the Portuguese central defender over. Li Chu suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. This central defender, who was called a monk by Yenghua fans, had a fierce style on the court, because the number of red cards sent off for fouls in the backcourt was also one of the best, but it must be said that Li Chu still recognized Pepe's defensive strength. Otherwise, relying solely on fierce fouls would not be enough to gain a foothold in Real Madrid, not to mention that he was still firmly in the starting lineup. Real Madrid's midfield now consists of you, Xabi Alonso and Modric. We all know Alonso's style. It's slow, and most of the time it relies on experience and prediction to defend, and Modric is not a very tough midfielder either. Therefore, we hope you can add a touch of sweeper color to Real Madrid's midfield. Li Chu couldn't help but stand there, sweeper. His style has always been strong in attack and weak in defense, but he has always been thinking about how to improve his defense. It's just that his goal is to defend through good prediction and positioning like Alonso. At most it's a sweeping defense like Kanté, but sweeper. Can he really be competent in such a position in the way? Zidane looked at Li Chu with a smile, and he naturally understood what Li Chu was thinking. He knew that it would take some time for Li Chu to accept it. At this time, Li Chu was still struggling in his heart, and he changed his mind and understood it. He was relatively tall, and after a certain amount of training, he would definitely not be weaker than most midfielders in confrontation. Although he is not as good as Gattuso and Vieira, he is also a top-notch player in terms of physical fitness. Such a player is naturally suitable for sweeping in the midfield. Now, Li Chu also understood why Zidane called Pepe over. Chapter 99. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After so many days of training, Pepe naturally understood the position of Li Chu in Zidane's heart. He is Zidane's favorite. As soon as he became the head coach of Real Madrid, he immediately called Li Chu back, and he was even unwilling to wait for the winter break. There is no doubt that Li Chu will be the core of Real Madrid's midfield. In addition to his position in the head coach's heart, Pepe's role in Li Chu in training is also obvious to all. He dribbled past the opponent flexibly in the midfield, sometimes like Kaká possessed. He could pass the ball straight when the striker had an opportunity, and feed the ball into the striker's stomach. Although he was only a central defender, he still understood the role of Li Chu very well. However, he always felt that Li Chu lacked a little defense. Now, the opportunity came. When Li Chu was called over by Zidane alone, the assistant coach expressed his thoughts to him. The coaching staff hoped that Pepe could teach Li Chu some defensive skills. Li, you found the right person to teach you defense. I can defend better than Ramos, Pepe said excitedly, and immediately began to teach his defensive skills. It must be said that although Pepe is famous for his fierce fouls, he is very meticulous in controlling the details of defense, from observing the center of gravity of the dribbler, using the peripheral vision to observe the position of teammates, how to distinguish fake moves. There are many details, and Li Chu feels that he has benefited a lot. This is indeed something he cannot get in the system. Many things can either be obtained through a lot of games or by having a very powerful teacher. For example, Pepe. Now, Li Chu sincerely felt that Pepe was powerful on the defensive end. Ding! The system is aware that it is learning defensive skills. Do you want to cancel the master-disciple bond with Cristiano Ronaldo and transform it into a master-disciple bond with Pepe? While Li Chu was listening patiently, the voice of the system suddenly came. After hesitating for a while, Li Chu still refused. Whether it is learning from a master or on the court, it is more useful to maintain a bond with Ronaldo. I have only learned a little about the elevator ball so far, and there are still many things worth learning from Ronaldo, for example, his off-ball movement, such as his header. What's more, the master-disciple bond can also have additional tacit understanding on the court, so that Li Chu can send more assists. After rejecting the master-disciple bond with Pepe, Li Chu obviously felt that learning defensive skills was very slow. It was not like learning the elevator ball. Li Chu shook his head silently and could only continue to study hard, side sliding step, lower the center of gravity, pressing fake moves, give physical confrontation. These actions are very easy to do individually, but when they are connected together, Li Chu feels that his body does not seem to be his own and is very difficult to control. Seeing that it was getting dark, Zidane could only shake his head and decided to continue training tomorrow. Several days passed like this, and Li Chu kept studying, but there was no result. In team training match, Zidane specially assigned Li Chu to the second team, letting him face the defense of Real Madrid starters. Alonso dribbled the ball in the midfield, looking for opportunities ahead, and Li Chu stood in front of him. Reciting the key points of defense in his mind, Li Chu pretended to rush forward to grab the ball, but in fact, he put his center of gravity relatively backward, ready to block at any time. Unexpectedly, Alonso did not buy it, but half-leaned his body, blocked his position, did not give Li Chu space, and continued to observe forward. Li Chu saw that this trick was useless, so he could only half retreat and half fight with his body. But Alonso's physical confrontation was not inferior. While leaning on Li Chu, he gave the ball to Modric, who was advancing. Zidane and a group of assistant coaches shook their heads silently on the side. Li Chu's offense and defense are simply two extremes. When facing an ordinary midfielder, Li Chu can give pressure, but facing a midfielder like Alonso, Li Chu had almost no presence, let alone trying to steal the ball. After Modric got the ball, he did not pose much threat, and the ball was intercepted by the defender. After a few passes, the ball came to Li Chu's feet. Li Chu, who took the ball to attack, seemed to have changed into a different person, with clear eyes and constantly looking for opportunities. Facing Modric, who was stealing the ball, he easily passed him with a Marseille turn and strode forward. Another smooth and handsome fried meatball past Alonso and faced the back line of Real Madrid's first team. Li Chu, who was observing his teammates' running positions, suddenly found Pepe rushing over at a high speed. The latter was so aggressive that he directly made a sliding tackle with studs on his shoes. Li Chu's heart tightened, and he had no time to take care of the ball, so he jumped up and avoided it to prevent himself from getting hurt. Beep! Zidane blew the whistle quickly at the sound. Other Real Madrid players also hurried over. Li, are you okay? Don't get hurt. See, Ronaldo shouted anxiously. Bale glared at Pepe. If he hurt Li Chu in the training match, it would be a loss. Pepe, who was usually lawless on the court, also lowered his head at this time, fearing that Li Chu would really get hurt. Although Pepe was ferocious to the outside world, he was always friendly to his teammates. Li Chu lay on the ground without saying a word. As early as when he jumped in the air, there was a ding in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for stealing Pepe's skills and committing a fierce foul. The midfield sweep and defensive capabilities have been greatly enhanced, and every defense can deter the opponent. As the system voice sounded in his mind, Li Chu felt that the defensive skills that he had not been able to understand these days were also suddenly enlightened. After a long while, Li Chu came back to his senses and smiled at the people who were worried about him. Don't worry, I'm fine. To prove his words, Li Chu stood up and ran 2 steps. Don't worry, I'm really fine. After getting Li Chu's affirmative answer, Zidane was relieved and looked at Pepe fiercely. Pepe. This kind of action should not appear on the training ground. Pepe was also ashamed and apologized to Li Chu. Li Chu comforted Pepe with a smile on his face. If it weren't for Pepe's flying tackle, he wouldn't have been able to understand the defensive skills. The game continued. After Li Chu scored a wonderful free kick, the ball came to the Real Madrid team. After Ronaldo kicked the ball back, it was passed to Alonso's feet. The latter dribbled forward again and met Li Chu again. Just as he was about to continue to half-turn and block the position, he suddenly found that Li Chu was different. Li Chu seemed to have added a bandit spirit. Alonso's heart was in a panic, and he felt that the ball under his feet was difficult to control. Li Chu in front of him suddenly lowered his body. It was a flying tackle. Zidane and the assistant coaches beside him were stunned when they saw this scene. Is this Li Chu? Is it really not Pepe? Chapter 100. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Chu flew and tackled Alonso. He kicked the football away by rubbing the edge of the shin guard. The ball drew a long arc in the air and flew directly out of the boundary. Zidane and a group of assistant coaches stayed where they were. If I am not mistaken, it was Li Chu who just flew and tackled. This black-haired boy from Yen country can actually tackle. Zidane, have you seen him tackle? Li Chu was discovered by Zidane from Yen country. It can be said that no one knows Li Chu better than Zidane, but even Zidane just shook his head. I have watched him play hundreds of games, big and small, whether it is a regular game or a training game. I have never seen him tackle. Li Chu's playing style is similar to that of players like Ozil. Of course he is much better than Ozil, but the action of flying tackle on Li Chu is too inconsistent. Alonso stood up from the ground. Just now, he rolled to the ground to avoid injury. Li, when did you do this? As the only person involved, Alonso could feel Li Chu's flying tackle more. The action was skillful, the foot was accurate, and it was decisive. If Alonso didn't know Li Chu, he would definitely think of him as a fierce central defender like Ramos. Li Chu scratched his head. The flying tackle just now was completely subconscious. Just now, Alonso half-turned to protect the ball, and it was difficult to interfere even if he was close, but there was a small gap on the right side. As long as the flying tackle was used, the ball could be completely destroyed, so the scene of Li Chu's flying tackle appeared, facing the puzzled eyes of everyone. Li Chu scratched his head and replied. Maybe I am beginning to understand Pepe's unique skills. Don't worry, I won't do this again in the training match. Pepe looked at Li Chu with lingering fear. If I teach Li Chu to play a fierce flying tackle style, I'm afraid Zidane will teach me a lesson. The training match continues, and Real Madrid's first team has the ball. Alonso got the ball in the midfield again. This time, facing Li Chu's defense, he passed it directly to Modric on the side. Although Li Chu promised not to do this again, the fierce scene just now still echoed in my mind. Pay attention to Alonso. Li Chu gave instructions to Jefferson, the second team's midfielder behind him, and he approached Modric. Modric took a small step forward with the ball, but he didn't expect Li Chu to be as fast as the wind and approached him in a moment. Modric immediately lowered his shoulder to the right, and at the same time passed the ball with the inside of his left foot. The right foot quickly changed direction and kicked the ball to the right. Beautiful one-sided bicycle kick. Modric has used this trick countless times. This trick works for almost every defensive player who presses forward. It was one of Modric's favorite dribbling skills. Of course, this trick had defeated Li Chu at least 10 times before. But when his right foot just touched the ball, another powerful foot came in sideways. It was Li Chu. Li Chu had already noticed Modric's fake move and made a predictive steal. Fast, accurate and ruthless. This is exactly the requirement for steals on the court, and Li Chu performed very well. After stealing Pepe's fierce foul, the movements of the ball holder in front of Li Chu seemed to be in slow motion. Modric's movements seemed as slow as Jack from the youth team in Li Chu's eyes. With such a unique blessing, it was naturally very easy for Li Chu to steal Modric. However, such a unique vision can only be used on the offensive players defending him, not on two people at the same time. Otherwise, Li Chu would be a dimensionality reduction attack on the court. After stealing, Li Chu kicked the ball to the feet of the defensive midfielder Jefferson on the side. After the latter stopped the ball, he passed it to Li Chu again. Li Chu faced Alonso, and after a fake move on the left, he accelerated and passed him. Although Alonso is an excellent midfield defender, his speed is too slow compared to Li Chu. Li Chu is now facing the back line of Real Madrid's first team. Jamal, the striker of the second team, found the gap between Pepe and Marcelo. Bang! Li Chu naturally discovered Jamal's running position and immediately made a long pass. The latter received the ball, but unfortunately he failed to stop the ball due to Pepe's interference and sent it directly to goalkeeper Casillas. Jamal scratched his head regretfully. There was no problem with Li Chu's pass. If he had a better ability to seize opportunities, this ball would definitely go in. The ball was transferred, and the football came to Modric's feet again, and Li Chu was still defending in front. After eating Li Chu's pants, he also chose to pass the ball. The football rolled to the feet of Angel Di Maria. "Hey! Li, your defensive ability seems to have improved a lot suddenly, let me try you." Although Di Maria played as a left winger in Real Madrid, he is still a pure winger. Needless to say, a qualified winger's dribbling skills are naturally excellent. Di Maria slowly led the ball forward, and when he was 2 steps away from Li Chu, the frequency of his feet suddenly became faster. Pushed the ball outward with the outside of his left foot, suddenly lower his shoulders and change direction, and then hook the ball back with his left foot. Fried meatballs. This move can be said to be a symbol of a dribbling master, conquering countless defenders, but at this time, Li Chu had already seen through Di Maria's fake moves. Lowering the center of gravity, he moved fiercely towards Di Maria. The confrontation for a while made Di Maria unable to react at all, and the whole person flew out. Only the football was left to slowly roll forward, and was caught by Jefferson at the back. The ball was not passed. Zidane touched his bald head in surprise. What happened to Li Chu? Has he become a different person? Fierce defense, accurate prediction, this kind of top-level defensive awareness really suddenly appeared in Li Chu. Zidane suddenly felt that he didn't know Li Chu at all, and the strength of this Oriental boy was unfathomable. What he showed on the court before was just the tip of the iceberg. Assistant coach Moses looked at the player report in his hand dully. Yesterday he was still a staff member of Real Madrid. Zidane discovered his coaching talent and promoted him to his current position. Moses was naturally very excited. He had long wanted to get close to players such as Ronaldo and Benzema. And the black-haired boy from Yen country, Li Chu, Moses wanted to see his wonderful passes and overall view. At this time, he was looking at Zidane's player report to his own players, which recorded the different characteristics of the players. Li Chu's player report clearly stated several words: the defense is very poor, and other midfielders are needed to make up for it. Does our Real Madrid club have another Li Chu? Moses' brain crashed, and he didn't react for a long time, and asked Zidane dully.